let's close out one other thing about caring. And if you've been in a union organizational campaign during the last couple of years, you might have been faced with another policy that you have. And it's an ugly policy. And in my humble opinion, is an unnecessary policy. What is that policy that most of you have in your handbook? That is, in my humble opinion, the ugliest of all policies. It is the policy that makes you stand out, of not caring. And if you're looking at union free, it's a policy that will aid in you being unionized. And you should be. In my view, you have a certain policy, you deserve what you get. What is that ugly policy? And my guess, in your handbook, every one of you likely has this ugly policy.
At will.
At will. Is there anybody that doesn't have an at-will policy? What does at-will say?
Anytime, any place, anywhere.
We can fire you anytime for reason or no reason. Isn't that sweet? Because I love you. But there's a quid pro quo to that, isn't there? You can quit anytime you like. But if you don't give me 2 weeks written notice, you lose all your accrued benefits. Because I love you. Think about that. Think about that. Do you know that Pennsylvania is a state that is an at-will state? Virtually, not all. Do you know that socialistic country called California has at-will by statute? Can you imagine that socialistic country called California has at-will by virtue of the state legislature passing the law? So why do you have at-will? It reads ugly. It reads ugly. It is ugly. Pennsylvania, being an at-will state like most states, says, without you having to say it, what your written policy says. The only part of at-will that I recommend be in your policy manual or handbook is to simply say is that your policies or handbook, whatever you call it, is not a contract of employment, and it is one that it is a guide that can be changed from time to time at the management's discretion. Because you want to be direct with people. You don't want to create something that is misleading. So you want to explain in words, nice words, what it means. That's really all you need. And if you've been involved in a campaign, one of the things that smart labor union organizers will do is throw that out at you and say, your employer doesn't care about you. You need us for protection because your employer has said it can fire you for any reason or no reason. So please help me. The NLRB modified some years back a lot of campaign rules. A campaign, an election is going to be held within about 42 days from the day the union files the election petition. So you got 42 days. So when a union advises your employees about your at-will policy, help me. What do you say about it? Why is the union doing that tactically? Well, it wants to put you on the defensive. It's going to take up days that you have to campaign because you've got to explain it away. And it puts a negative tone or color on virtually anything you say or do as a company to counter whatever the union is saying. Now you're going to say to me, Steve, what's the big deal? We don't fire people for any reason or no reason. We have progressive disciplines. Perception. It's the perception that it impacts. So when you have progressive discipline, if that's how you try to explain it away, the union says, well, if that's the case, why do you have the at-will policy at all? My lawyer told me to do it. I love you. That's a good answer, right? My lawyer told me to do it. Hear how it sounds. It's crazy. I mean, what I'm sharing is for having you understand strategies and how symbols of what you say or do can come back at you, and from a strategic perspective, materially influence and adversely influence you attaining the goal that you want.